Next, we are going to unit test the controller layer of our application. So first, let's unit test the controller layer of the customer service application. Similar to what we did in the unit testing of repository layer and the service layer, we have to write the unit test in the test folder and inside the controller package. And when unit testing controller layer, we have to mock service layer components because controller layer always depends on service layer. So to mock the service layer components, we can use Mockito framework, and we are going to use a special annotation on top of the class in the controller layer. That annotation is at web MVC test. So this annotation does not load other layer components, and in addition to that annotation, we are going to inject few things into our controller test class. So one thing is we are going to inject a bean of type mock MVC. So this bean we are using to simulate HTTP request and test our controller's behavior without starting a full web server like Tomcat. In addition to that, we are going to also inject the specific service interface, and we can annotate that with at Mockito bean annotation. And in addition to that, we are also going to inject a bean of type object mapper. So this object mapper bean is used to convert Java objects to JSON, that is called serialization, and also to convert JSON to Java objects, that is called deserialization. So that's the purpose of injecting the object mapper bean. So let's go ahead and create a class in our controller package of the test folder. So first, let's see our controller. So we have customer controller. So let me close the other files. So we have customer controller, and we can write a class to unit test like this: customer controller tests. So, and we have to annotate this class with at web MVC test annotation. Next, I'm going to inject mock MVC bean. I can annotate that with at auto-wired annotation. We have to also inject the customer service bean also. Let me annotate that with at Mockito bean annotation. And next we will inject the object mapper bean. And we will have to annotate that with at auto-wired annotation. So these are the things that we need to inject. And in case our controller use any other services, we will have to inject that service also, and we will have to annotate that service with at Mockito Bean annotation as well. Here also we are going to use the BDD style to write the unit test. So let me use the structure. And in the controller test classes, we always going to test the REST APIs. So if you go to the customer controller, the first REST API is create customer. So I will add a comment JUnit test for create customer REST API. And let's see what we actually do in the create customer REST API. So we are giving a customer DTO object, and we are passing it through our request, through our JSON request. And after that, we are using the create customer call, create customer REST endpoint, and it returns a response entity which includes a customer DTO. So we can, based on that, we can create our unit test name like this, given customer DTO object when we are calling create customer, when create customer, then we are returning a response entity of customer DTO. But here we can just mention return saved customer DTO. And we can add a throws clause here, throws exception like this. Here we are adding this throws exception because of a few reasons. So this simplifies the code when we are using APIs that throws checked exceptions. So when we use the mockmvc dot perform and similar methods, those can throw checked exceptions like IO exception, JSON processing exception, servlet exception, like those kind of exceptions. In those cases, instead of writing a try catch block, we can simply declare as this throws exception in our test cases. Next, move on to the given section. As usual, we are going to give the precondition. So here also, we can create a customer DT object, and then we can assign the values here. But instead of doing that, we can use the practice of having a setup method. So let me create a setup method. And we can annotate that with at before each annotation. And inside this setup method, we can create a customer DTO object. Next, we have to add the stubbing calls. So to add the stubbing, we can use the given just like we used in our service layer testing. I'm going to import given as a static import from Mockito. I will add a comment just to differentiate within the given section. So here we can use given, and we are going to use the customer service which we have uh, added here, and we are going to call the create customer method, and inside this create customer method we are going to use argument matches which is from Mockito, and then we are going to call any, and this within that any we are going to pass the type of the object we are going to pass as an argument. So to create customer method, we have to pass a customer DTO object. So we can specify here customer DTO dot class. So the purpose of using this argument matches dot any is to specify that we don't care the value of this argument, and we just want to mock an object of this type. So that's the purpose of using this argument matches dot any. Next, we have to call the will answer, and to this will answer we will have to use lambda expression like this, invocation, and we are going to call invocation dot get argument, and we are going to pass 0 as the index of the argument. So basically this will specify whatever the argument that we passed here to this create customer, and whatever the argument we passed in the 0th index for this create customer, we have to return that as the response of this call. So that's the idea of using this will answer and this statement like this. Next, we will move into the when section. In the when section, we are going to call the perform method of this mock MVC object. So let's call mock MVC dot perform, and into this perform method we have to pass the URL for the endpoint. So to pass that URL, we are using mock MVC request builders, and we are using the post method, and this post method takes a URI. So as the URI, we have to pass the URI of this customer controller. So if we go to the customer controller, this is the URI, this is the base URI, So let me copy that, and I'm going to pass this URI to post method. And then we have to specify the content type. So we know the content type is of JSON. So we are going to give media type dot application JSON, and I think I have added extra parentheses, so it should be like this. And we have to import. So we have to import this media type from org.springframework.http package. Let me import that. Um, so it's complaining about this, I think. So let me comment out that. Yeah. So now it's good. Next, we have to give the content. So the content here, we have to pass object mapper. We have the object mapper object already. And then we have to call write value as string. And to this write value as string, we need to pass the object. The object is customer DTO. Basically, what we did here is we are going to perform a mock HTTP request. That's why we are calling mockmvc.perform, and then we are passing here the URI for the endpoint. And then when we use this content type, we sets the content type header to application JSON, and that will indicate that the body will contain JSON. And here in this content, we are converting a customer DTO object to JSON string using this write value as string of this object mapper, which is from Jackson. So this becomes the body of the post request. So this is going to return a results action object. So I'm going to define here result actions, and I will take it to the response reference variable. I think we are missing one parenthesis here. Yes. So that's what we have to define in the when section of our test case. Next, in then section, we have to verify the output. To verify the output, we have to use this response. And let's use the response. Then we are going to use undo. And in this undo method, we are going to use mock MVC result handler. Mock MVC result handlers, and then print. So this print method, it will actually print the full request and response details to the console, and it is going to be very helpful for debugging the test cases. And if there is any failures. So it will be very helpful, and it is going to show the status, headers, and body, and it will be like a mini postman result in our console. So that's what this statement does. Next, we have to use and expect, and it takes an argument of mock MVC result matches. So I'm going to pass mock MVC result matches, and let's see the status, and we have to check the status. We have to verify that it is showing as created, because this is the post call. The status should be created. And next we have to use the and expect again, and we are going to pass again mock MVC result matches, and this time we are going to check the values in the JSON response body. So to check the values, we are going to use the JSON path, and inside this JSON path I'm going to pass this dollar, and then whatever the response will contain. So we are going to pass the customer DTO, and it will give a response including a customer DTO details. So in our DTO, so we have these field names. So customer first name, customer last name, customer email. So these will be the fields of the response body of the response as well. So I'm going to use here dollar and then customer first name, and we are checking that value of this customer first name against the value we passed here in the customer DTO object, and customer first name of the customer DTO object. So to do that, we are going to use co-matchers, which is from Hamcrest, and there is a method called is, and to this is method we are passing customer DTO, then we need to get the first name of the customer using the getter. So likewise, we can add two more and expect statements. So I will copy this, and in the second statement we have to check for the value of the last name of the response body against the uh, customer last name of our customer DTO object. Next, I will check the email, customer email of our response body, value of the customer email of our response body against the against the customer email of our customer DTO. So if you look at what we did here, we use the undo method of the response to print the full request and response details to the console. And then we are using an expect to assert the HTTP response. And first we are checking the status to make sure it has the status of created with 201. And then in next and expect, we are checking the value of the response body for every field, like customer first name, customer last name, customer email, and we are comparing it against the values of the customer DTO object by using the co-matchers.is, which is from Hamcrest. And we use that to assert values equality. So let's go ahead and test this. We can see the test has passed. Let's look at the console to see what response we have got. So here we can see the request we have passed. It is a post request and it shows the URI, and also it shows the headers, and we can see the body we passed with all the values that we have provided in our customer DTO object. And we can see here the method that it called, the customer controller create customer, which takes customer DTO object, and here we can see the response, and it shows the status as 201 and headers as application slash JSON, content type application JSON, and the body also showing here. So this response is printed here because we use here mockmvc result handlers dot print. Because of that, the request and response is printed to the console.